The woman was shocked to discover that the child she had adopted was actually her husband and best friend's son. After learning the truth, the woman suppressed her rage and secretly sent the child to a welfare home. Then she adopted another boy. For 10 years, the woman raised the boy to be outstanding in both character and academics. Her best friend thought the boy was her son and often came to the house with expensive gifts to visit him. On the boy's 18th birthday, the woman told her husband and best friend that if the boy could get into Harvard University, she would give him all of the company's shares as a reward. Hearing this, the best friend and the husband were immediately overjoyed, completely unaware that their son had already been switched. With only a few months left until the college entrance exam, in order to take better care of the boy's daily life, the best friend took out a loan and spent a fortune buying a house next door. From then on, she came to the woman's house every day, not only cooking lavish meals for the boy, but also keeping the house spotlessly clean. When the woman saw this, she found it ridiculous. She asked the best friend, "You're already in your 30s, yet you're not interested to get married. Instead, you bought such an expensive villa and came to my house to be my free maid. Aren't you afraid you'll end up with nothing?" After saying this, the woman walked out of the house without looking back. The husband and best friend were left stunned, not understanding what the woman meant. Soon, the day before the boy's college entrance exam arrived, the best friend prepared a lavish dinner for the boy. Over the years, the huge mortgage had left them struggling to breathe. Now, they were finally about to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The best friend firmly believed that with the boy's excellent grades, he would definitely get into Harvard University in the United States. Once the boy inherited the woman's company, she would immediately reveal her identity to him. Then the two of them could abandon the woman and live carefree lives. At that moment, the husband received a text message from the woman, saying that she had to work overtime at the company and would not be coming home for several days. She reminded the husband that tomorrow, for the college entrance exam, he must make sure to send their son to the exam room on time. Upon learning that the woman would not be home for several days, they immediately wanted to have an affair at home, but they had no idea that all of their actions were being watched clearly by the woman through the surveillance cameras. Early the next morning, the two of them were awakened by the woman's phone call. The woman told her husband that she had returned home early from a business trip. When the husband learned that the woman was already at the front door, he hurriedly ran outside and hid by the window. Seeing the best friend sleeping in the master bedroom, the woman pretended to be very confused. The best friend quickly explained that she had been too tired from taking care of the child yesterday, so she had accidentally fallen asleep there. At that moment, the husband was hanging outside the window, swaying back and forth, too scared to even breathe. And then he passed by and spotted him. Terrified, he instantly lost all strength and fell to the ground, and both of his legs were immediately covered in blood from the fall. After the woman saw this, she pretended to want to drag him to the hospital for treatment, but the husband remembered that their son was about to be late for the college entrance exam, so he urgently urged the woman to send their son to the exam site first. The woman thought the same thing. She no longer cared whether the husband lived or died, and first sent her son to the exam site. Because the husband had not received treatment in time, by the time he was taken to the hospital, he was already paralyzed on one side of his body. For the rest of his life, he could only live in a wheelchair. Fortunately, the boy did not disappoint them. He successfully got into Harvard University. After hearing the news, the best friend and the husband were overjoyed. On the day the boy received his admission letter, the woman held a grand press conference in front of all the media reporters. She signed the equity transfer agreement. Seeing this, the best friend and the husband immediately dropped their disguise. They had endured hardship and humiliation for a full 18 years. Now, they had finally gotten what they wanted. The two of them walked onto the stage with smug expressions. Then the husband announced publicly that the boy was actually his and the best friend's child, and that the best friend was the woman he truly loved. The boy could not believe it after hearing this. The best friend told the boy, "I am your real mother. Now that you have inherited everything the woman owns, our family can finally be reunited." The best friend's words made all the guests stand up for the woman. However, the woman did not look heartbroken at all. Instead, she stared at them with a sinister smile and said she had known all the truth 18 years ago. The two of them obviously did not believe it. If the woman had known the truth all along, why had she continued raising the boy as her own son? In fact, the reason the woman did this was to make the husband and best friend pay a painful price. When the time was right, she read out the adoption contract she had prepared in advance to prove that the adopted son was not her husband's and best friend's child. The moment the husband saw the contract, he was stunned. He could not believe this was true. After all, 18 years ago, he and his best friend had sent their son to an orphanage, then tricked the woman into adopting their son. They planned to let their son inherit the woman's fortune when he grew up, so that their whole family could live happily together. Little did they know that the woman had long since seen through their scheme. When she discovered that the two of them had betrayed her at the same time, she did not expose them right away. Instead, she went to another orphanage and found a baby who looked similar to their son. She brought that baby home and adopted him. The husband and the best friend mistook the baby for their son and spent 18 years showering him with care and love. They never expected that after the boy inherited the woman's fortune, the woman would reveal that the two children had been switched, proving that this boy was not their son. The husband thought the woman was lying. Best friend was furious and nearly went crazy. She refused to believe that the boy was not her son. She even demanded a fraternity test report. The woman agreed without hesitation. Soon, the doctor collected samples from the three of them and then rushed the test. While they waited, the man was deeply worried. His legs were now paralyzed and he had become disabled. If the boy was not their son, he would lose everything. The best friend firmly insisted that the boy was definitely their son. The next second, the doctor arrived with the fraternity test results. The man took the report but did not dare open it. Seeing this, the woman mocked him, frightening him so much that he dropped the report on the ground. At that moment, the best friend picked up her report, but after opening it and checking the results, she froze, so heartbroken that she could not even speak. The man anxiously asked for the result, but he could not accept what he was about to hear. When he saw that the report showed there was no blood relation between the three of them, he shouted that it was impossible. The woman was smiling at this point. She deliberately mocked the two of them for spending 18 years of effort, only to end up raising someone else's son. The best friend suddenly thought of her biological son and immediately asked where her son was. The woman deliberately provoked her, claiming that they had left their son in an orphanage and that no one knew whether he was alive or dead now. The best friend was furious after hearing this, and she was certain that the woman had killed their son. She even lunged at the woman like a madwoman, trying to kill her. The woman knocked her to the ground. She said all of this was the punishment they both deserved. If they had not tried to seize the woman's fortune, they would not have lost their biological son. The best friend thought that her son may be suffering, or may have already died. She got up in fury and tried to kill the woman, but was stopped by the boy beside her. He said, "You are not allowed to touch my mom." The best friend was heartbroken by this. For 18 years, she had taken care of the boy, no less than the woman had. In her eyes, the woman was not even the boy's biological mother. She could not understand why he liked the woman, but would not accept her. The boy looked down on their behavior. He accused them of scheming to frame his adopted mother, so he chose to stand by his adopted mother. The best friend was furious after hearing that. She believed the boy had taken everything that belonged to her son. Suddenly, a dead reminder arrived. Earlier, in order to build a bond with the boy, the best friend and the man each took out a loan of $1 million to buy a house next to the woman's. They did this just to take care of the boy's daily life. They had once imagined that after the boy inherited the woman's fortune, they could repay the $2 million debt, but now they had no ability to repay it. The two of them blamed each other for everything. They even started fighting in public. Seeing this, the woman felt delighted. The best friend finally admitted defeat to the woman. Before this, she had been jealous of the woman, so when the man got drunk, she climbed into his bed, thinking that as long as she gave birth to a child, she would win the man's love. In truth, the man did not like her. Being with her was also part of his plan to raise their son, and then inherit and seize the woman's fortune. The best friend never expected that after plotting so much, she would still lose in the end, but she was unwilling to lose to the woman. She thought that as long as she killed the woman, she would win at least once, so she picked up the dagger beside her and walked toward the woman. Seeing the woman in danger, the assistant rushed in to save her, but his body was pierced by a dagger. The bodyguards immediately seized the best friend. At that moment, she truly had nothing left. She had not only lost her biological child, she was also saddled with debt she could never repay. She blamed all of it on the woman. Seeing that she still refused to repent, the adopted son said that if she had not schemed to frame his adopted mother, she should have been accompanying her child as he grew up and living a happy, fulfilling life. After hearing her son's words, the best friend felt deep regret. Now, her only thought was her biological son, so she apologized to the woman. She begged the woman to tell her where the child was. She felt she had let her child down for 18 years. Now she only wanted to see him once. Although the woman hated the best friend, she still respected the child's wishes. The boy knew his mother had done many evil things, but he still wanted to see her. Only when a plainly dressed boy walked over did everyone realize that the best friend's son was still alive. Looking at her thin and frail son, the best friend guessed that he must have suffered a great deal over the past 18 years. Instantly, she was overcome with guilt. She kept apologizing to her son. If she had not plotted against the woman, she would not have lost her biological son. She would not have let him suffer so much hardship. The boy did not hate his mother. He also said that the woman had been supporting him all these years, so he had been luckier than the other children at the orphanage. After hearing this, the best friend finally realized that the woman was a kind person. The woman said that the grievances between adults should not involve the children. The boy told his mother that he had once gone looking for her, but because she thought he looked like a beggar, she drove him away. The best friend was deeply remorseful. If she had known earlier that the boy was her son, she would never have closed that door. The boy knelt in front of the woman and pleaded for mercy. He knew his parents had committed many evil acts. He would repay their debts for them. He hoped the woman could forgive them. The woman told the best friend, "For someone as wicked as you to have such a kind son, that is your blessing in your faith." The next day, the woman went to the hospital to visit the assistant. She gave him a triple salary raise as a reward. Little did she know that the assistant had been secretly in love with her. The adopted son reminded her about it, but she thought it was impossible. After all, there was a 10-year age gap between her and the assistant. They could never be together. Half a month later, the woman received news that her ex-husband and the best friend had already turned themselves in. All of their assets would be auctioned off to repay their debts, and both of them would be sentenced to 1 year in prison. Soon after, the assistant recovered and returned to work at the company. He gathered his courage and invited the woman to a movie. He had checked her schedule in advance. He deliberately bought 2 tickets for the 8 p.m. showing. Unexpectedly, the woman held an emergency meeting. It did not end until midnight. Seeing that the woman seemed distracted, the adopted son asked what was wrong. She said that the assistant had asked her to see a movie at 8 p.m. that night, but it was already past the time. She also did not plan to keep the appointment. The adopted son believed that the assistant would surely be waiting for her at the theater. He urged her to go as soon as possible. After hearing the adopted son's encouragement, the woman hurried to the theater, but she found that there was no one there anymore. Just as she was about to leave, the assistant appeared behind her holding a tub of popcorn. Seeing that the popcorn was still warm, she realized that the assistant had bought many tubs, just so she could have fresh popcorn even if she was late. Although they missed the 8 p.m. showing, there would always be another movie. What mattered was that 2 people in love watched it together, and just like that, the woman also found true love.